Hi, and welcome to another episode of Nursing Your Way to Wealth, where a mental health nurse and an accountant talk about wealth creation, personal development, and financial independence in the UK to help you live the life you deserve.
Hello, and this is episode 59 of Nursing Your Way to Wealth. And we've titled this one All or Nothing. So the main kind of premise of the show is the difference between the FI, the financial independence, and the RE, the retire early part. Is it like once you reach the financial independence milestone, is it you're retiring as early as you can, and that is it? Or is there a bit of nuance in it? Is it a little bit different? So we're going to talk about kind of our thoughts on that. Like, is it an all or nothing thing? Is it a binary choice? Either you're working or you're not working, or is a blend possible? We're also going to discuss, as we usually do, we've got a good return on heartbeats for this week. We're going to talk about the main body of the show, as I said, all or nothing. We're going to bring you another reasonable or ridiculous, and then one of us will do a summary. But to begin, just a slight introduction thing. Something I learned about 4 or 5 days ago now. You might think that I myself, so nurse Alex, is like a savvy investor now because I've been doing it for 6 years or something like that. I, to my shame, realised that for my SIP, so self-invested private pension, I realised the other day that my contributions that I make in addition to my working kind of contributions, employer ones, to that I've just been storing in cash for quite a long time because I opened the account, dug in a little bit deeper to it, and I found £768 sitting in cash in the account. I wholeheartedly believed it was invested properly and it was making me money, etc., etc. When it was actually going backwards due to inflation the whole time. So do check right where your investments are going and that your money's actually being invested. I really don't want you to kind of check it in 10 years' time and find you've just got loads of cash sitting there because that would be problematic. You would be a lot poorer. If it can happen to me, I think it can happen to more people. So I think it's worth checking. We advocate here, don't check it too often, but on this occasion, I think it's worth having a look. The only fortunate part, I think, of that is that I've been able to reinvest that as a lump when the markets have been down. It is sheer dumb luck. It's not market timing in any way, shape, or form. And I think I've just been really fortunate noticing it and also with the timing of doing the investment. So, generally, to help me with the show, I've got accountant Alex here as well. But Alex, have you ever made a simple kind of investing mistake like that, or is it just me?
Yeah, hi everybody. That's a good question. I mean, I've made loads of investing mistakes. I tend to be fairly disciplined around putting my having cash being invested. One thing which has happened to me actually before is often with the platforms, if you don't have enough cash to take your fees out of, they will force sell some of the investments to kind of cover the fees. So that's happened to me a couple of times. So now I just make sure I've got kind of buffer, like I think I've got like 100 quid in cash in my SIP. That just goes to pay the fees for for that, and that I think just prevents the platform automatically selling my investments to recover their fees. So that I guess is one thing as well. So it's a balance of probably maintaining. I think there's two options. You can either hold cash in the account and just tell them to take the fees from the account, or you can pay it by direct debit. Um, so that could be another option. But yeah, that's what happened to me. But Alex, do you know what caused your the money to be sat in the account? Were you like paid a dividend or something and it just hadn't reinvested, or?
No, I mean I do pay my like Vanguard fees via direct debit as well, so that is definitely an option. Certainly with that platform, probably with others as well. And my only thoughts here is that I don't want any of my investments sold until I'm ready to sell them. It's probably going to make no meaningful difference, but I just think I'd rather have the money sat in for as long a time as possible, just continually compounding. It might buy me an extra breakfast or something when I'm 50 or whatever. Um, but no, I genuinely think I'd set up these like monthly direct debits. I'd paid a little bit extra in as and when, and I don't think I'd done the instruction correctly to invest it because I had a good portion of that pension invested in the correct place that I chose, and then another portion of it sitting in cash. So I don't know whether it's something I don't think I've done it correctly, or maybe I've just made an assumption at that point. But I definitely think it's worth checking. I don't think I got a dividend or anything like that. So it's I think it's just me overlooking something simple.
Yeah, so Alex, I was just going to talk about return on heartbeats for this section, something that I did over the weekend. So it was, I actually went camping, so a bit early for camping, so it was quite first start of the season. But yeah, me and my wife went to a really nice place called Hurley, which just sits between Henley-on-Thames and Marlow, and we had kind of took an afternoon off work on the Friday, drove down there, which is only like an hour or so from my house. It's quite nice and quick. All set up out in the outdoors, had a nice barbecue, lovely hike the day after, and then had a really nice meal. So it was a really and the campsite, because it's quite early on in the season, was really quiet. So there was only our tent and another on our kind of camping there. So nice and quiet, birds were singing, weather was good, a really nice little break, and it was really cheap in comparison to a peak time campsite. So that one for me was my return on heartbeats for this week.
I think it's a good one, to be honest. Like, if you can get over the cold bit, or you have a little
Oh
heater.
yeah, lots of blankets
Yeah,
and lots of layers.
you have a little
Very fine.
heater or something. But going in like a downtime where it's just peaceful, there's the two of you, one other person probably in a tent. It's not going to bother you or anything like that. It's just you, the two of you, nature, and whatever else you're doing while you're there. So I think it's a really good idea. And clearly, you'd have both felt some, firstly, stress relief being away from work. It's a good use of your holiday to do a little bit of the traveling as well. And I just think it sounds really relaxing. I just imagine it being very green, trees, perhaps a river, just
Yep.
being in wildlife. And there's a lot of research to show that living, or not living, but being in green spaces is incredibly good for our physical and mental well-being. So I'm not surprised you feel better after that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It was a really great trip.
Good. I mean, over that weekend that you were camping, I covered probably, let me just do some maths in my head quickly. Probably about 600 miles in my car going to see my dad. And we actually bought some snooker tickets in Birmingham. So he lives a bit of 2 hours from Birmingham. I live 3 hours from him. So I did quite a lot of driving as well. And I've just done some quick maths in my head that total cost for me was about £254, give or take a few. My dad probably spent another maybe 60 on food, dinners, and something like that. So it is kind of punchy at about 310, 315 or something all in. But we had a great time. We watched a whole day's worth of snooker, two
Nice.
sessions, an afternoon, one till 5, and then no 1 till 6, and then 7, and it actually finished at 11:30. We got home at 1.
Wow.
So we were double tired. But we got maximum value out of that. We saw all the frames possible. 2 matches went straight to deciders, and it was really good. And I've always wanted to do that. My dad and I do it sometimes. And when I do, I was looking at the tickets, and I was like, actually, just get the good tickets, get the good seats, sit at the front. It's going to be way more enjoyable. So I actually managed to get front row tickets, which is some of the cost. I think it probably added about £40 or so of that, which actually is not huge.
Yeah, that's good. Which snooker tournament was it?
It was the Players' Championship in Telford.
Brilliant. I quite like snooker as well. I've been a few times to the Alexandra Palace. Yeah.
Same. So I've been to the Masters there too, and I never regret the money.
No, I don't. I think it's awesome.
I really enjoyed it
because it's quite nice. Yeah, it's quite nice and intimate as well, isn't it? And it's not like you're in a crowd of 80,000 people or anything.
No, absolutely not. I think there's probably maybe 6 or 100 people, something like that, in the audience. Luckily, we were sitting on the front row, so if you did watch the snooker over the weekend, I was the guy with the moustache and the grey jumper next to my dad. But it was just a really good atmosphere all round. The matches were good, the players were great, the crowd was good. I really enjoyed it. I would 100% do that again. And I think there's a time to kind of save and be frugal, and there's a time to spend as well. And I don't want people to all be on the save and save and save and just never be able to spend any money at all, because money at its heart is really, it's a tool for just for doing stuff. And I don't regret a single penny of spending that at all. Like, I'm sure you don't regret any money you spent camping.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No, definitely worth
But I
it.
think that's a really good point, actually. That and it's money is there as a tool,
Mm,
and it's there to give you options, and you don't want to go through life being so frugal that you almost become depressed from it and miss out on everything. Um,
yeah,
and I think this is where like the return on heartbeats is quite a nice way of looking at things, and it's an experience. I guess most of the things that we will talk about in that section will always be an experience rather than a product,
definitely.
and I think that's what it stays with you then for forever.
Yeah, and I don't regret it one bit. I really enjoyed it. If I hadn't sat and worked out how much it cost, I couldn't have told you really with any accuracy how much it cost. So I think everyone on this path, us included, we work double hard to kind of be on the journey and make wise or astute financial decisions. But at the same time, you've got to live life as well, haven't you? Like, don't forget to live whilst you're on the
Mhm.
journey. You don't want to get to kind of 45 and think, oh, actually, I've got all this money now, but I've got very little in the way of experience. So yeah, do strike a balance. And actually, that's a pretty good segue into the all or nothing bit,
Yes.
isn't it? So this idea is I often see a lot of like Reddit posts and finance boards and stuff, YouTube videos, etc. When people just say like, I just hate my job and I want to quit really early and I want to retire early and I've learned about this FI thing, so I'm going to do that. And once I've quit my job and I've got nothing else to do and I don't need to work, at that point I'll be happy and I just won't have to do anything with my time. And I just it got me thinking a little bit about it. And there was a lot of other people posting around those kind of topics, and they're saying actually you don't have to like it's not a binary decision. It's not a permanent decision here. So
Mhm.
if you want to take a couple of years off, do that. If you want to get a part-time job again, do that. If you want to found a startup, do that. It's not saying like turning your back on work forever. It just gives you the option to not do stuff that you don't want to do in exchange for money. So I think it's not like all those decisions are undoable, really, unless it's like I was going to say even a tattoo is undoable, but now you can undo them if you want. Um, like if nobody dies, it's not undoable, and if we're not in an apocalyptic time, those things are not kind of changeable. So it's not really a decision that you make and you make once and you can't undo. That there's a lot of nuance around it, and I don't think that when I get to this stage of being financially independent, I don't think I'll never work again. I think I'll just work on my terms. And Alex, I don't know if you think differently. Have you come across this kind of trope of when you're retired, and you have to remain retired?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting talking point because yeah, similarly I've heard the and I think the financially independent retire early is very much that it takes retire early is quite literal and it's like as you said it's an option that is definitely one option that you don't actually have to work for money ever again. I think the fact is most people that are kind of pursuing this path are very diligent, they are ambitious, they're kind of willing to they're disciplined, can defer gratification, and therefore fairly successful. Like, and I think it's they're therefore probably not the type of person to retire at 40 and then live on a beach for the next 50 years. But and I think often you get, and I think similar to you, Alex, I always see myself doing some form of work at some point, but I think that will look for me what it might look like doing working part of the year and then taking the extra part of the year off. So say maybe doing a contracting role for a bit and then maybe working as, you know, if I'm maybe in my more senior years, working as more like an advisor to some smaller companies and maybe investing a stake in them. And um, what I don't see myself as is working the same kind of 9 to 5 big corporate job till I'm well into my 50s. That's what I don't see myself as. I see myself as much more of a work will always be a part of what I do. And there's a lot of value in doing it. Um, but it's for me, it's not having to do that, almost the grind for decades at a time. And part of that is keeping a lifestyle that's not kind of crazy expensive, one that I enjoy and makes me happy. Um, and and I think, but sometimes there is often that when I talk to people about like the financial independence and retire early, you often get the rebuttals of, well, you're going to get bored. What you're going to do? You need something to do. You can't just do that all the time. But it's almost the way I always rebut is, well, the worst case is I just go back to the workforce 5 days a week, 9 to 5, like everybody else in the country. But the thing is, I have the option to step away, and often, and I hear that as a rebuttal. I hear the other ones around, oh, well, I like my job. I would never do that. And that's fine. And that's great if you do. But that's quite easy. If somebody's 35, it's quite an easy thing to say, but quite, I don't know if that level of enthusiasm will continue when somebody's, 57 or 47 or something. And I think it is a bit of a balance, but you could end up with a new boss that you just cannot stand, or they try to manage you out, or you get made redundant. Like the financial independence part of FIRE is for me the most important, and that's the thing that gives you these options. And yeah, it definitely is not this binary decision that, yeah, you've made it now, you can never go back to work. Like that just isn't true.
Like imagine if whenever you do a job application or something, whoever looks at it gets a note to say, actually, this person retired. Alex retired 10 years ago, so he just shouldn't be considered for an employment. Like it just would never happen. And just thinking about kind of some of those topics, I've actually two things here. One, I've looked at an old Reddit post, and a load of people are saying like stuff that they would do. So I'll drop some of those into conversation as well. But some of them are a little bit out there, something that I'd never even thought of, but actually sounds like a really good idea. But just on the financial independence bit and having kind of that replacement income. Recently, my wife's university have started to make like redundancies. They've had to cut 20 million quid out of their annual budget, which is a lot. It's a lot of jobs. And there was a period of time where we thought she would have to re-interview for her job. She actually, fortunately, found out today, this morning, that she wouldn't have to reapply, and not the necessary cuts have been made. People have taken voluntary redundancy. They've cuts in other areas, etc. She obviously feels very relieved. I was a little bit autistic about it, and I was like, sweetie, don't worry, like you have me, this is fine. Or we can deal with that. Worst case is you take 3 months off or 6, and we use a little bit of the buffer that we have, and you find a different job when you're ready. Didn't really help. What she needed more was emotions, which I'm not really that good at, but it certainly helped me massively knowing that we are kind of financially astute, and we have been putting in these good financial practices that we talk about here. So the amount of stress relief at that point was really incalculable. It was huge. A lot of her other colleagues were panicking. Some of them brought to tears, etc. So when something like that happens and it really hits home, it's really difficult. And I know we've talked before about people saying like, other colleagues, Alex, you've worked with, saying, "Oh, I need this job and I need that. I don't know what I'm going to do without it, etc." So just having a buffer against life is really helpful. So, but back to these other ideas, right? Of what people will do when they're in retirement. I mean, there are some basic stuff about I'll do kind of consultancy, and I'll do work 2 days a week at my current job, or I'll do something like that. There are some other kind of lovely ones here. One person says they'll start a cat sanctuary from their house and just look after sick and injured cats because they'll have the time to do that. Another one, open a sandwich shop that's open 11 till 1, Monday to Thursday, and just make sandwiches for lunch for people. Yeah, and I think there's another person who says, I don't want to retire. I'm just tired of doing stuff that I don't want to do, getting bossed around by people. So it's a control thing, perhaps, for them. Another person was a game developer, just wants to build their own individual games, like an indie game, and publish that. Other people are saying build businesses, but for pleasure, work with underprivileged people, like restore water bodies, plant trees, help stray animals. And the one that I found the most, or two actually, that I found the most kind of eye-opening, dream is to hit their FI number and start a wrestling club offering full-time scholarships to kids who want to compete, who can't afford like actual fees for stuff, which is lovely. And the last one, um, always wanted to be a pilot, stopped the corporate grind, got a pilot's license, and started a small
Oh,
charter
awesome.
business in early retirement.
Yeah.
I mean, what great ideas! What lovely creative ideas that actually you probably wouldn't think about because you're so bogged down with like
Yeah. I think
working
and I
life.
think that's like the power of this. It frees you up to do you de-risk any future decision in a way because you've almost got this like your fortress of like your house, you've got a passive income that you don't have to work for, like you're solid and a lifestyle that you enjoy and makes you happy. You then there's only upside from kind of starting and opening the sandwich shop or um, going to build wells in Africa or something. Like there's only upside for doing that. You're going to be a lot more fulfilled. You know you're doing it because it's your decision. You're probably not going to have a million and one bosses telling you things that you need to do 10 hours a day. Like it's, yeah, freeing. And I think it wouldn't be, and it's like, yes, per the strict definition of fire, you're not retiring early, but I just think matter that just do what you want to do, and that's exactly what it empowers you to.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it? And I think the power of that cannot be understated. I feel like a lot of people in the current climate just they can't think any other way because a lot of people live kind of the month
Hmm.
round and round. I mean, someone told me today that apparently it's payday tomorrow for me, which I didn't realise particularly because I don't keep track of things that much. A lot of it's automated, etc. Um, and I asked a couple of other people, and they're like, "Yeah, it's payday tomorrow. Can't wait. Wish it was today." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Clearly, I'm thinking slightly differently to you." And I think it does allow fuller, more freedom thinking. And I wonder as well whether like a lot of creativity can kind of come out of that because you're not kind of pressured into this one space that you're in with it with like either the business or working world. And I wonder whether a lot of kind of startups appear and do really well because the pressure is off at that point. And actually, it doesn't matter if you do succeed and it doesn't matter if you don't because you have a huge runway where you don't have to fund your own life. You've already sorted that out. So,
Mm.
a problem that you have in, say, running your own business, it's not terminal if you don't fix it in 30 days. You can have 300 days to fix it if you want.
Mhm.
Um, and you can really take all the time you need to solve these problems and build it exactly the way you want to build it. And like the person who wants to own a sandwich shop, they'll open 11 till 2. And that's it. It's a 3 hour day, isn't it?
Yeah,
Um, and you can get up whenever you like, as long as you're there and you've got sandwiches, etc. And it's a very low pressure thing. And we've talked a lot about stress relief, etc., kind of on the pod and how that impacts our decisions. Being able to have your life run the way that you want it to run, not being beholden to other things, I think is a secondary part of the FI bit.
mm.
It's not just having the FU money, it's being able to live the life that you want to live. And that's really the only life you get. You're not going to get a take two or not going to be reborn anywhere else. It's like you get one and that is it. And I don't want to look back at my life when I'm 80. If I get that far, who knows? And think, oh, actually, I worked an awful lot. I've missed out on stuff that
Mm.
I wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I come from the same school of thought. I just don't want to sit there and regret and be like, oh, wish I had done that
Mm.
when you're sat there with wires coming out of you and yeah,
All sorts. And
slowly
I
fading
think
away,
no,
whatever.
no
Yeah,
one, no one thinks, oh, I wish I'd worked more.
exactly. Like, oh, I wish I'd have finished that report or just done that bit more or done that. Like, yeah, none of that happens. It's about what you didn't do and what you didn't see. And yeah,
Mm. Like places you didn't go, trips you
exactly.
didn't take, people you didn't go with, etc.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think I'm hoping really that shows like this and others just get people to kind of open their eyes a little bit because I I could have sworn like yesterday I was talking to a colleague of mine that I trained in nursing with. Like, you actually feel like it's been a long time since we first met and we sat in those classes. And she was like, no, it seems like really recently. And we worked it out. It's 8 years ago.
Yeah,
Or this year will be 9 years ago. And actually, that has flown by,
yeah,
which is crazy, isn't it? People say like they blink and then they're 50.
yeah, and I can definitely see how that happens. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, yeah. I think when you start to look back at things, you then realize how fast time goes, and you need
Mm.
to, yeah, really make the most of it.
Harness it. And again, like what we're kind of advocating here and doing with the five pathway is just buying some of your time back.
Yeah,
The way I run my own finances, the biggest payment I make in life, more than my mortgage, more than whatever other bills that we pay, is to pay future me and future my wife for time that we don't have to work. And even though it's been our biggest bill for the last 5 years, I don't regret a single penny of spending that at all because it's time you get back and time to
mm.
do stuff that ordinarily you wouldn't want to do. And on a sort of related tangent, I found out today at work that apparently I can buy annual leave. Like I can buy additional days. I think I can buy an extra week's holiday, um, which I didn't realize. That's another perk of the NHS. So I can buy a holiday. I think it costs like or whatever. I don't know for another week off. So it's useful to have in case I do need it. It's there. It's costly, but it's there.
Yeah. I think yeah, it's a good use of money actually.
Yeah, buying time. It's what
Yeah.
could, there's nothing more valuable, I think, than that. Um, yeah. So, I mean, Alex, any other thoughts on the nuance around it? I mean, we've talked about you don't have to retire. You can do any of these other things, whatever you dream of, particularly. And as well, I just want to make another point before we move to the reasonable or ridiculous. But say you set a particular date that you and I, for example, you want to retire when we're 40, 45, 50, whatever the date is, the number is for you, could be your birthday of that year, something like that. I would say be flexible with the date that you choose and have maybe a 6 month or to a year's window that you could retire in anything between these dates. Change it slightly if you need to. You never know what will happen. The markets might be up, the markets might be down. You might get an incredible working opportunity that suits your life a little bit better. So don't be beholden to a particular day. But imagine how anticlimactic it will be when it's just another Tuesday for everyone else and it's raining and you're like, guys, I'm done. I'm leaving. See you later. And you
Mm.
don't tell them where you're going, but you don't say anything else. And you're like, go outside, put your umbrella up, get in your car, and drive home. Um, Whereas I imagine it to be like a really sunny day, the clouds are parting, the sun is out, birds are chirping, etc. So I think some flexibility around the timing of that could also be a good thing.
Yeah. I think that's really good advice actually. I think it can get quite stressful actually if you're targeting a specific day or with I think having the window is yeah,
Mm.
really helpful.
And you can as well transition from instead of doing 5 days to 0 days, do 4 days, 3 days, 2 days,
Yeah.
something like that, just to ease your brain into the change. Because we've talked before, but our brains don't like change at all. It's they like stress relief and they like rest and digest mode. They don't like immediate change. So yeah, Alex, any other thoughts, or should we play a quick game of reasonable or ridiculous?
Yeah, nothing else from me on that. I think we've covered it. So yeah, reasonable or ridiculous.
Cool. Okay, so this one's from me to you, and it actually comes as part of the trip I took with my dad. So, um, and I'll kind of context this by saying when I fill my car up at home with diesel, I'll pick whatever station is closest to me that's on my route. I won't go out of my way for like to find a cheaper price for diesel or whatever. My dad, though, when I was driving with him, he makes a mental note of how much local stations charge for fuel, thinking that if he can save 2p a litre somewhere, he'll drive across town or he'll go somewhere else to fill up to save that. And there's probably his car will probably take about 60 litres of fuel, maybe 50, something like that, and which kind of factors into the calculation, I suppose. But he was kind of like telling me that he would drive across a town or something or go out of his way to fill up for slightly less money so he could save a few pounds. a bit more context, he is retired and can fill up whenever he likes. So there's no like schedule to that, which of course, Alex, you and I have. So maybe that plays a factor. But do you think it's reasonable or ridiculous to drive like say an extra 15 minutes out of your way to save 2p a litre off a diesel or petrol or whatever you drive?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And my dad also has the same obsession of finding the cheapest fuel. And I don't know if it's because it's so front of mind on like the news and everything that it's the reason it comes up, but I think generally it's a bit of a ridiculous thing to do. Um, I think, for really not an insignificant amount of money, it's quite a lot of inconvenience. Unless you take great pleasure in it. And I mean, for me, filling up the car is very functional, and I mean, the prices tend to be within literally a few pence of one another. So I tend to just go to whichever is the most convenient and fill up. So I think by trying to game which is the best one, I think there's definitely better uses of time to, for example, bank account switching. That would pay switch your bank once, and that'll pay for any um, of your kind of
That'll probably save
petrol.
years, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I just
Years
think
of saving, yeah. Fill your tank twice.
rather than going and saving 2 pence because Tesco is cheaper than BP or whatever. Um, yeah, I am. Yeah, I think it's a little bit ridiculous. But yeah, happy if anybody, any listener disagrees, would be keen to hear your thoughts. Or if you've got any good stories where you've actually found it like so cheap that sometimes you hear of like somebody charged it for like 50p rather than £1.50 or something a litre, and everybody flocks to it. But yeah,
Yeah, the anomalies, I guess. I think I'm on the same boat as you. I just fill up at the station that I go. Feel like it's actually next to the gym, so I normally go to the gym at weekend day, like the mornings of weekends, and every week or every other week, whenever my tank is low, I'll fill it up. Like now that I don't have a long commute, I probably fill up twice a month, if that. And I really don't like going places just to do one thing. So if I'm going to get groceries, I'm going to the gym, or I'm going somewhere there, I'll try and do three things at once. I really don't want to waste any of my time going three times for three separate things. So I'm very much in like efficiency around that and kind of grouping stuff that's local together. So I think we both agree it's ridiculous. If anyone, yeah, anyone listening thinks it's not, then of course we're always keen to learn. You can email us at nursingyourwaytowealth@gmail.com. If you want to come on and you are retired and you're adamant you're never ever going to go back to work or anything like that, or you've hit your fire number and you're still working 2 days, or you're doing a passion project or whatever, and you want to come on and talk to us about it, you can send us an email and we'll make it happen. Alex, do you want to do a quick summary, or do you want me to do?
yeah, I can do a quick summary. So I think we've covered the nice. So check your investment accounts and make sure that there's no cash sitting there that you didn't intend to be, and make sure that it's getting invested. I had really good return on heartbeats of going camping over the weekend to a little place called Hurley, so would definitely recommend that. And then the kind of the main body is around not taking FI too literally, and that there isn't this kind of, it's not black and white. You can, as long as you have FI, you've got all the choices that you want, whether that be continuing doing what you're doing, all the way to sitting on a beach with some cool things in between. So people opening sandwich shops for a couple of hours a day over lunchtime, going to go and help set up wells, starting a video game business. So it opens up, it's the options that are important, not necessarily that you have to live by the definition. And the reasonable or ridiculous was around, is it worth going out of your way to save a little bit of money per litre on a tank of fuel? We both concluded that it was ridiculous.
That is an amazing summary. So I sometimes take notes as we're going, in case you decide you don't want to do the summary and I have to do it, and you literally mentioned everything. That we've discussed. I think the last thing I would perhaps leave with is the fire is a long journey unless you kind of set a business for many millions overnight. So do enjoy the path. Like, don't forget to live. If you want to go to the thing, do the thing. Book the holiday. Go camping. spend quality time with people that you care about, absolutely factor that in. And if you're investing so much that you don't have any spare money at all, you can have permission from us to let your foot off the gas a little bit and spend some of that money on the here and now, just to lighten the load and to enjoy the time you're at, because you're as young as you'll ever be right now. It goes for both Alex and me as well. So I think that life is 100% worth living as you progress with FI in the background. And with that, thank you for your time, and we'll see you next week for episode 60, which is a bit crazy that we've got 60 episodes, but here we are. And as always, if you want to leave us a rating or review, that would be obscenely helpful. And it lets us know that we're either need to improve or we're doing a good job. So thank you for that. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks, Alex, and thanks everybody for listening.
None of what we discuss on the show is to be considered financial or health advice, and we recommend you always do your own research or consult an independent financial advisor or a doctor when making your financial or health decisions.